VikesNow. I am Dustin Baker. We are about 26 days away from the NFL draft, and I swear to God, it's going to feel like Christmas morning, especially going to bed that Wednesday night. We haven't had this grand of a Vikings climax. I don't know if ever, to be honest with you, at least in my Vikings lifetime, where we think we know what's going to happen, but we don't know who the guy is. Oh my God. It's to me, it feels more exciting than week one. So what we're doing this late Saturday night, Sunday, by the time most of you watch this, we're chatting with Alex Micheletti. How are you today,
Good,
sir?
good. Yeah, good to see you, Brevin and Dustin. It's yeah, like you said, it's one of the most exciting Vikings off seasons in forever. They're trying to potentially find their franchise quarterback here in this draft. So yeah, it's I think it's going to be the most electric draft night in a long time. At US Bank Stadium with all the fans anticipating some drama, hopefully.
It
Up top.
really, it, it really is, because it's like one of the first drafts, I think, in maybe 8 years where we don't have to worry about a cornerback. Like, oh God, which cornerback? Which is fine, but we
Right.
shouldn't have to draft one every single year. And then my personal opinion is the trade from 2 weeks ago with the Texans. That really announced to all of us, or people that were on the fence, like, oh, this shit's happening, because you really don't make that trade that at that point on the calendar without grandiose plans for a next trade. Otherwise, you wait until draft night to see how the board falls, which guys are going where, and then you call the Texans or the Texans call you. So I'm not just saying this to get everybody hyped about drafting. I really believe that this is going to be the pathway to a rookie quarterback. And I anticipate there to be a trade probably on draft night. We probably got a little spoiled by the Texans trade, and we're going to have to wait. But I'm going to kick it over to Brevin. Foremost, Brevin, how are you?
I'm great. Sorry if you pick up wind. Like, I'm right next to a window. I guess Virginia, like, there's a tornado or something going on.
Oh,
The
man.
wind is ridiculous. I don't know. Sorry if you hear
Yeah.
it.
No, that's cool. You got to keep doing your podcast if you
Yeah,
have a tornado, of course.
I'm
All
married
right.
to this.
we got Alex for about the next 20-25 minutes. What's the first thing you got in your mind to ask him out of the gate?
Yeah, so if you've been watching every Saturday night recently, we've been kind of asking all of our guests what the worst case scenario is. So in Minnesota sports fashion, we'll go ahead and get the negativity. Usually they wait until that climax that Dustin has been bringing up a lot. We've been talking about climax a lot recently. Usually the disappointment happens at the climax, but we'll get the negativity out of the way now. In your mind for this draft, and Dustin kind of just laid out the table what we're expecting to happen. What in your mind is the worst case scenario for April, whatever day that is, Thursday night?
Yeah, the worst case scenario is not being able to trade up to get a Drake Maye or a JJ McCarthy, even though they have the draft capital to do it. If these teams just decide to stay put where they are and draft the quarterback, have the New England draft Drake Maye, and then you're kind of screwed. And then the Giants deciding that they are going to freak out their fan base and draft JJ McCarthy. So yeah, that would be the worst case scenario where they're not able to trade up, and then you're stuck with a Bo Nix or a Michael Penix. I really like Penix, but I think fans would be really disappointed if they're not able to trade up after getting the pick from the Texans to try to possibly move up.
I think on the worst case scenario, I'm going to dovetail off your speech, which exactly aligns. I wrote about this on Vikings territory yesterday because I was trying to figure out the contingency plans of worst case scenarios, and I ranked them from 3 to 1 really quickly. I think the third worst would be addressing quarterback in the mid round once again. So in theory, if they love Spencer Rattler and that's been their guy this whole offseason, or Jordan Travis is a guy that we're going to polish, I think that would be number 3 on blah. Number 2 would be Bo Nix at 11, because most of the people that come on this show don't like him at all. And then reaching for him would feel Ponder-esque. And then I think the worst case scenario perfectly aligns with Alex would be just no quarterback whatsoever. And we are back to what the Vikings did when I was a little kid, and just go find Warren Moon, go find Jeff George. And then that's what you're doing with Sam Darnold. And then you just, I guess, wait for next year until Shadur Sanders or something. I highly doubt that's going to happen. But yeah, I think getting trapped in that trade that they did with the Texans, like you said, trying to get into the top 5, but then getting outbid by the Broncos. There was that cockamamie trade theory on Twitter today that said the Broncos could trade 3 firsts plus Patrick Surtain, which we couldn't match unless we dropped Jefferson in there or something. And I mean, I don't know that the Broncos would go that. I mean, I think they have more team building to do. And I don't think 100%. They can afford that. So, yeah, it's a great topic, the worst case scenario. It's a necessary evil to get out there. I think it will be as elementary as Kwesi pulling off a trade. I keep coming back to the compromise of the Chargers, maybe the Cardinals, but the Chargers, because it will only cost 2 first-rounders. You'll still get McCarthy, which they'll tell us that they've loved him forever. I still think that's the most likely outcome, although this show is very flamboyant about wanting Drake Maye, me included.
Yeah, I just think too that it seems like every single day it changes on who the Vikings like at quarterback too. Mm-hmm. It's I think as the pro days have continued, it changes every day. And then we had the Tom Pelissero nugget too that the Commanders love JJ McCarthy. So that would if that happens, that throws everything into chaos too, because then Jane Daniels is still in play, who according to Alec Lewis has said that the Vikings were on before right as the college season started, that they've been watching him too. But you also with hiring Josh McCown, it seems like they are setting up to try to get Drake Maye. He's coached him in the past, and then the McCown with Darnold. So there's way too many connections there of getting Drake Maye in a good place. And as a lot of the pundits have said too, whatever rookie quarterback ends up with O'Connell and McCown, that's the perfect spot for them. Because if Drake Maye ends up in New England, look at the wide receivers that he has to throwing to. KJ Osborne might be their wide receiver 1, which I love KJ, but that's not a great for his development, I don't think. So I mean, he'd get Jefferson and Addison. That's you couldn't have a better situation in Jones to dump it off to as well.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I keep hoping that it's Drake Maye, because of his skill set, then just dropped into an offense made in heaven, plus 2 former quarterbacks that are going to do everything they can to make sure he succeeds, because their jobs will be on the line. I think Maye is the best fit. And then I will challenge the listeners and viewers. If you go back to Friday morning as your cutoff, it seemed like all mock drafts published Friday at 5 a.m. and after have all gone to Drake Maye. And I don't know if that's because people finally realized that the McCarthy smoke is real, or they saw McCown being chummy with Drake Maye at his pro day. But I swear to God, 3 or 4 of them on Friday, credible ones, all of a sudden said Drake Maye, to which this guy was like, hell yes, we're doing it.
Yes. I'm just saying that when you get compared to Josh Allen, that gets everybody hyped up. He might never be Josh Allen, but when you get that comparison, that gets everybody all fired up. And to have a franchise quarterback for once, I think everybody would be elated. And it would be a guy, I think, that there was so much with Kirk Cousins, you're either a Kirk Cousins guy or you absolutely hated the guy. And I think this is a guy that the entire fan base can rally around. And I think that would be important too.
Yeah, he has, if you go through the big 6 of all these quarterbacks, he's got the youth. He doesn't turn 22 until the summer. He's got the size, 6'5", 230 or whatever it is. And then the only knock you can find is footwork. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm sure that will progress along the way. It's He's the one prospect. It's how I felt about CJ Stroud last year, where CJ Stroud, it felt like he was the only guy that was 21. All those other bastards were 24. And so I think by default, I almost landed on Stroud because of that. I didn't want the Vikings ending up with a 25-year-old rookie quarterback. But I think Drake Maye, I agree with you, is the one quarterback, assuming they can't get Caleb Williams, where everybody's like, yes, he's the guy. He's going to succeed. With McCarthy, it's always going to be just a system quarterback with Michigan. I mean, unless he shows up and balls out, then all of that's vanquished.
One thing too with the age, look at the past couple of drafts too with some of the younger guys too. If you don't get a Drake Maye, I mean, some of the younger guys have absolutely failed, and that might be where they've ended up. But I mean, Joe Burrow was a little bit older than some of the guys that have been coming out, and he's I think he's had a fantastic start to his career. So it's not age isn't a huge thing, but getting the youth and if he doesn't start right away, I don't think people need to panic either, because they can slowly get him ready, and if Darnold fails, you can get him going pretty fast too. So
I agree. All right, the next thing I'm going to ask you, Alex, is it can pertain to the draft, it can pertain to the depth chart, it can pertain to training camp. Give me one bold offseason prediction. We have about, let's see, about 4 months and change until week 1. What do you got for one final bold prediction for the Vikings offseason?
Yeah, since free agency is pretty much wrapped up, but there isn't a whole lot of guys left. I think my bold prediction is that Garrett Bradbury is going to get cut. I think he is the weak link on the offensive line, and I think they need to address it. I think he gets manhandled a lot on the line, and that's how you get deep in the playoffs, is your offensive line, protecting your quarterback in the trenches is where you win. You give enough time for your quarterback to make plays. And I just think he's the weakest part of the line. And, hopefully, as cuts happen, that they can find somebody or find somebody in the draft to replace him, get a little bit bigger at the center position.
And notably, if they did follow your prophecy, they'd save between $5 and $6 million bucks if they did it this summer or designated with the post June 1st. Can you see that, Brev? Do you see Bradbury on the chopping block, or would that have happened by now?
I mean, I can definitely see it. I don't think it'll happen, but I think it's definitely a possibility. I mean, at this point, you spent the bulk of the money you're going to spend this offseason already, other than having to sign your rookie class. But they're not in a position to have that $5 to $6 million right now. I don't know what the numbers would look like next year, but if it's giving you big enough savings next year, which I don't think it'll be anything because you have even more cap space next year, then it would make sense. Like if it were last offseason, I could definitely see it, but they extended him last offseason, so I guess that kind of goes against it. But I wouldn't be shocked if they love somebody in camp and there's some big name, big ticket free agent out on the market. Like if they wouldn't have to cut Bradbury to sign him, like a Xavier Howard if they're to get another corner.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely within the realm of possibility.
The thing on Alex's prediction, it's bold, so it's almost designed to be wrong.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be out there.
Right.
But I can tell you this: if the Vikings hang on to their 4th rounder, which feels negotiable right now because of this upcoming quarterback trade, if you draft a center in the 4th round, there is a quasi reasonable expectation that guy could start. There's notorious positions like defensive tackle where it takes a while for them to develop. Centers and guards you can usually play, and so I think Alex could be rendered correct if we're chilling on Saturday early afternoon and boom, they draft some sweet center from Michigan or something like that.
Yeah, I was about to say the Michigan center is a projected late round pick, so if they get McCarthy, get some of that.
I'm just looking at the roster right now, and there isn't a whole lot of for bold predictions.
Mm-hmm.
And I just over the years watching him and just his size, it's tough to see him get manhandled. That Philly game, just for example, I just think for them, if they want to get deep in the playoffs, I would like to see a bigger center, but otherwise, other than you can, like Dustin brought up at the beginning of the episode, is finding another corner. Draft if they stay where they are and they draft another 1st round corner, people are going to go bananas. But that could definitely happen with this team, because it always seems like secondary is always an issue every single year, even when they try to address it.
It's a good thing that if you look at the roster and you can't think of too many bold predictions, that means it's in a decent spot. I think that's because they had money to spend because Kirk went to Atlanta, and now we just wait on QB1, the most important position in all of sports. So I think that's the trade-off, is other than quarterback, it's a pretty decent roster and a good coaching staff.
That's what people have to realize too. I know losing Kirk, it seems like a lot of people think it's the end of the world, but look at what they were able to address and bring in to the defense. I mean, with with re-signing Kirk, they would never be able to, get Van Ginkel or a Cashman, so it's the defense is getting a lot better, which was definitely needed. I mean, that was the Achilles heel that, Kirk would have all these amazing stats, but then the defense would just turn around and just, destroy it, at the end. So it's huge for the team to get better on the defensive end. And, Brian Flores seems to get the best out of a lot of guys that maybe, have had one good year, but can continue it under Flores. And he's getting guys that he's coached in the past too, which is huge.
And note to Vikings fans that this is the way it'll be for the next 5 years. This is the perk. If you are going to draft McCarthy or May or Daniels or Penix, this is the perk. Is now you can pay that guy a decent salary for a rookie, but not 35 to 50 million, depending on what it would have been. So welcome to the new era. Brevin, what's your next thing for Alex?
Yeah, so of course with the draft, there's going to be a certain guy at the front of the room there on draft night, probably making the first call to the rookie that they're going to draft. Where are you at with? We can talk literally all night about the 2022 draft, but I think everybody's made their completely justified points on it. 2023 draft, it looked a little bit better, but now in 2024. You can finally start to see the vision unfolding. Like, this team is so much different than it was even a year ago, let alone 2022. So where are you at in your confidence levels with Kwesi Adofo-Mensah as we finally start to see his vision for better or for worse?
Yeah, I'm fully confident in what he's trying to do. I mean, he had to clean up a mess from Spielman, and the draft, like you said, that draft was not great, but they hit a home run on Addison. I mean, just imagine if they didn't pick him. It just this offense would be so much different because if you don't get someone to complement JJ, that it would have been an even worse year last season. So that was a home run pick, and this is his opportunity to draft the franchise quarterback. They've made the moves to do it, and now they have to hit on it. And if they don't, then like Dustin said, they're probably out. Both him and KOC are out of jobs. And you love having O'Connell, like Dustin said too, and McCown having two former quarterbacks that have played in the league and now have both coached in the league, and it's setting up to have a rookie have a lot of success, compared to other teams, that are up there to try to draft a quarterback. I don't think they have the foundation that the Vikings have, to make that rookie be successful. So I'm fully confident in this group, even though, like you said, they maybe had some misses, Lewis Seen, but in Booth, but this is their opportunity to get the quarterback. They haven't had that in previous drafts, and now they have to make a hit on it.
I think I'll keep saying this on this show, that the next 26 days, the lead up and then the subsequent draft pick of the quarterback, it's the only thing that matters about Vikings football right now. Is if you're analyzing the job securities or of Kwesi Adofo-Mensah or Kevin O'Connell, or looking at the future, the only thing that matters is this draft pick, because they're always good. They're going to have all of this money, each free agency for the next 5 years. They're always going to be able to get decent free agents, probably find a good defensive coordinator if Brian Flores leaves. It all comes down to this damn draft pick. And I, for the life of me, don't understand why we as Vikings fans or writer, we always have to go back to talk about Kwesi's first draft. I get it. It doesn't look very good, but he's like, do folks think that he's the first guy in history to have a couple bad draft picks? The draft is such a crapshoot. It just worked out really rotten for him that his first one hasn't been guns ablaze. And I don't know why you could be having a good day and the Vikings win a game and we're like, oh, what about Lewis Seen? I just do not understand the obsession with that. It's like, move the hell on. Like, this happens in this sport. You can pull up any draft ever and look at the first round and be like, shit, half these guys weren't very good. This is the way it goes. He got it right the following year with Addison. Let's have a new day. It's one of those things where I can't, and like anytime the Ravens are on TV, I'm like, oh, here it comes. We're gonna have to hear about Kyle Hamilton for the next 3.5 hours. So that's my soapbox for tonight.
No, I agree with you. And, the quarterback, it's the most important position in football. And so this is this is their opportunity to hit on it. And if if they get a Drake Maye, this fan base is going to go nuts. This is this has been, like you said, like we've all talked about, the most anticipated offseason in a decade plus, and so this is their opportunity. And if they hit on it, I mean, they're going to get re-signed. So this is where they. This is their time to shine, and the scouting staff that he has too. And it seems like from what we've read too, that they've been watching Drake Maye for a long time. So they have the book on him, if that's who they want. So I think he would run to the hills if he's drafted by O'Connell and McCown. So I'm excited.
We got 2 more questions for you. One more thing before I get into my final question is, if they do draft, they trade up to number 3 and they get Drake Maye, I'm going to wonder if they ever even contemplated bringing Cousins back this offseason. Like, let's say this Josh McCown thing really mattered and they got his high school coach. You said they've been watching him for quite some time. I really wonder, like, what'd they say to Kirk? Like, hey, it's $28 million per year. Do you want it? Like, did they like, because it will have felt like such a broad, like, cerebral plan that I don't know if they would have done both, get Cousins and have Drake Maye.
No, I think Kirk would not like that either too. I think there would definitely be some conflict if they, it'd be the same thing like, Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. I don't think that even publicly when he said that they had a great relationship, it seems like it's the same thing with, Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. Just behind the scenes, I don't think that works. And so this is the perfect opportunity to revamp the team, and they have the foundation there for the rookie quarterback to be successful. And I think the guaranteed money thing, that's probably why Kirk is not back. They didn't want to risk giving all that guaranteed money to a guy that tore his Achilles. And even with how medical has changed that side of things to get guys back quickly. Look at Cam Akers. He tore his Achilles again, and that it doesn't take much to do it again. And it's just such a devastating, injury. And you don't know if you're going to be the same guy as you were beforehand, even if things have improved so much with that type of surgery.
The last thing I got for you, you said you were looking at the depth chart, thinking about a bold prediction. When you looked at that thing, who do you have in mind for an unforeseen breakout player? Now, admittedly, this is a topic probably for the summer, but I'm going to give you the first crack at it. Somebody that people aren't thinking about that could be a breakout candidate in 2024.
Yeah, when we saw this guy get new money, it raised big flags. As Blake Brandel at left guard, that's a huge opportunity for him. Because it looks like he's getting, starter type money at that position, and is probably going to be favorite for that position. And you need that position to be good, especially if a rookie is going to step in there. So I think, this is his time to prove it. Just looking at the depth chart, that's the big thing right there for me.
Yeah, I like that one a lot because it seems like the writing's on the wall for him to start. In theory, Reisner could re-sign tomorrow, or the theory we had about...
And he finally got a new agent. What took him so long, and of course he hired Rosenhaus. So we'll see, because he has so many clients on the Vikings to begin with, it could be reunited. I don't know why this guy he played well last year and hasn't signed anywhere yet. It's very interesting.
It's strange. Yeah. So the same logic we had about Bradbury's would-be replacement, that could apply if the Vikings use a 4th rounder on a guard. Whoever that guy is could hypothetically start in front of Brandel. But the thing I keep preaching about any Brandel naysayers or the folks that are hell-bent on Reisner coming back is this coaching staff, not the last one. This coaching staff deserves the benefit of the doubt with their offensive line solutions. If this was a Zimmer and Spielman move 2 years ago, I'd be like, oh God, because every time they did shit like this, it ended up horribly. The O'Connell brand, they're not like absolute offensive line gurus, but this offensive line per every metric has been about top 12 in the last 2 seasons. This is what we prayed for. This was that meme that we used to pray for times like this. So if they think Blake Brandel's ready to start, he might not be a Pro Bowler, but I think that they've earned the clout to put him on the field and have us go, oh, he is pretty good. Am I wrong?
No, 100%. And they're finding guys for their offense too. Like you said, like we've been talking about too. They're trying to clean up everything that Spielman had. They get Darrisaw, so that we got to give them credit for that. But it's just you have to let them use their guys. And this is I think Brandel, if he gets a chance to start too, I mean, he's going to run with it too. He's been waiting his turn. And so, yeah, if you're looking at the depth chart, that it's such an important position. And so, yeah, we'll see if he runs with it or not.
And then I'm going to hand it to Brevin here in a second. The last thing I'll say on this is how it goes. Believe it or not, sometimes with guards or any position, sometimes a guy does enough behind the scenes and he plays a little bit during his rookie contract, and then he's ready to start at a position like guard. This isn't like a half-ass thing. This is how the sport works sometimes. It's just that we're not used to offensive linemen showing up like this. So again, I would say if this was the old regime, I'd be right there with you with pitchforks, but I think these guys kind of know what they're doing. All right, Brevin, what's your last thing?
I think these kickoff rules are very, very interesting. With that, because it seems like there's more window for returns to happen kind of now, with if you kick into a certain amount of the field, like they have to return it. But I don't know, like with re-upping Brandon Powell, I know you're going to need 2 returners and everything, but what do you think the chances, and this is like another breakout player that I feel like we've been talking about for the last 2 or 3 years, it just hasn't happened on like an actual set offense. What are the chances that you think Kene Nwangwu is not going to make the team in 2024?
Yeah, it could definitely happen. I mean, you look at they have Jones and Chandler pretty set at 1-2, and I don't. I mean, they might draft another running back. It didn't work out with the UAB kid last draft, but the writing's on the wall, and you have to stay healthy in this in this sport. The name of the game is staying healthy, and he had trouble staying on the field last year, and but also too, if he gets cut, I mean, with the new rule changes, look, it got Cordell Patterson another contract. He's 33, and we thought he was done probably, but as soon as the rules changed, he signed with the Steelers right away and reunited with Arthur Smith there. And so, yeah, I think just if he doesn't make it, he's still gonna be a hot commodity just because people love that speed. But Powell, I mean, he was money last year. Not only in the return game, but on third downs, he was phenomenal. He reminded me of Jarius Wright. Every time they threw the Jarius Wright, he was catching the ball on third down. So I really like Powell. Anybody from those Rams teams seemed to have success, no matter if they stayed with the Rams or left as a free agent. I think McVay had a really good eye of finding guys and Les Snead. So. Yeah, I think it's a huge possibility that he might not make the team. And that's going to be one of the training camp battles for sure.
Yeah, and if this is coming from my mouth, so if either of you or any of the viewers ever want a reason to go completely against what I think going into drafts, so everybody that watches this by now probably knows I do not like Michael Penix. So because I'm saying this, Michael Penix will probably be a Hall of Famer. I loved Kenny Pickett coming out of college. I loved Sam Howell, who hasn't been completely horrible coming out of college. And I was over the moon for Minnesota drafting Dwayne McBride in the 7th round like that last year.
Yeah, so, I don't know why it didn't work out. I mean, he was so successful in college, but the NFL is a different beast, as we know. I mean, you can look at Tim Tebow. I mean, yep. Johnny Manziel. I mean, you can be phenomenal in college, but I think the mental side of things in the NFL is so much. Mentally, if you don't play well, it can wear on you, and you just have to be mentally strong too. You can have all the athletic ability in the world, but it takes a lot more to be successful in this league, and you can be thrown out the door so quick. It's amazing how fast guys move on from the sports. The physicality, as we all know, is just a different beast. So, and especially the running back position. But it was also nice to see some running backs get paid this offseason too. So after all the drama of, remember the Zoom meeting they all had. So it was cool to see some of them get paid a little bit.
Brevin, you're not the only one with bad takes. Alex and I have been internet friends for about 5 years now, and two of my worst takes are the same thing. In 2020, when Danielle Hunter was hurt, I told every Vikings fan that would listen that the Zimmer defense was going to be just fine. There's no way that guy was going to let a defense just be shitty. I was wrong. But then get this. I said the same thing again going into 2021, that hey, this is Zimmer. He's not going to have back-to-back bad defenses. So I wanted to give you solace, Brevin, and knowing just because you had a bad take about Kenny Pickett, who the verdict's still out on. You can get away with it.
We're all there. I wanted Johnny Manziel. I think a lot of people wanted Johnny here in Minnesota. But like I said, off the field, he had more fun than on the field. So, yeah, that happens.
In, let's say 1 minute or less, Alex, we somehow didn't ask you, who do you want at quarterback?
Yeah, I've been wanting Drake Maye. I'm right there with you guys. I think, it's the perfect fit. He has the previous relationships or previous relationship with Josh McCown, and you have all the capital. If it takes the 2 picks and then the first next year, you do it, because if it's a home run, everybody's got to run to the moon. And I think he is a better fit with the Vikings than the Patriots, as I talked about. I don't think if he ends up in New England, I just don't see it going well for him. But if he ends up in Minnesota, where he has the two wideouts, the tight end eventually with Hawkinson and running back and Jones, who's one of the greatest running back catch passer over the years. This is perfect fit for him to be successful.
Yep. And if we can't hire a former quarterback as head coach, if we do hire a former quarterback as head coach, and then he hires that guy's high school coach, and then we draft the guy and he ends up like Ponder or close to it, I don't know what else we can do as Vikings fans for hoping that a solution would be different with the next coaching staff, because everything is here.
The signs are pointing into it. And so if that ends up, it'd be the perfect story for sure.
Yeah. All right, Alex, we love having you on the show. This Saturday night thing is becoming a staple. So I would say if you want to hit us up sometime, like right after the draft, maybe that Friday or the Friday thereafter, we can discuss this fallout and go from there. Anything else from you, Brevin?
No, that's just about it. I got to go find all my old tweets about people I said would be really good in the NFL and retweet them and stand on my hill.
It's always the best looking back too, or like when you first started Twitter too, it's just seeing all those tweets too. It's just like, what was I thinking? Or like old Facebook posts. Yeah.
The Facebook memories.
Phenomenal.
What
was I thinking at that time?
Well, I'm an alcoholic on top of it. So when I go back and look at my stuff from the drunk days, I'm like, oh fuck,
I was up at 3 a.m. Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, I use that word casually. I better delete that thing. So
10 years ago, I was on Facebook hyping up Christian Ponder, so it could always be worse.
All right, guys, you have a wonderful night, and Alex will talk to you in about a month, all right?
Sounds good. Thanks, fellas.
Take it easy. Later.